Hi, beautifuls and beloveds. It's Noelle Rose Andressen-Kale. King Tut. Oh my god. Okay. That. DanceWarrior, raw, real, and uncensored. And I do dance and stuff like that. And I bitch, complain, and try to save the world. Alright, I'm making a joke. I hope you guys get it. So, I am reading my book. All of my books to you, actually. DanceWarrior, From Cancer to Dancer. This one. The first one published way back in 2016. Okay, chapter 2. It's called So Much Guilt. Don't cry over anything that can't cry over you. Marie Catrona. That was my grandmother. She was amazing. There is a guilt that brings about death and a guilt that leads to freedom. However, false guilt can be the cruelest of all, neither having been earned by deed or alleviated by repentance. You must heal from the past so you can have a future. That's me. I'm quoting my one of many umpteen million videos I've done. If you've done wrong, your conscience will eat at you until you make it right, no matter what you do. Be careful, beloveds. The stains of wrong don't wash off so quickly. A clear conscience rests easy. Oh, the weight of the poor soul who goes to bed with a guilty conscience. And again, I'm quoting one of my videos. And I do all this stuff impromptu, you know. Off the cuff. It's never prepared. And that's why you get me the way I am half the time. So here, you want to put this up there so it's...
Yeah, of course. I can't see the screen. Actually. Huh? I cannot see the screen from this seat. Hold on. I hear you.
Awesome. Thank you, beloved. Okay, so when I'm in a good mood, which is where I like to live, but it doesn't happen often lately because of these people bothering us. So. Alright, so I'm going to show you a picture of our Las Vegas home at Christmas time. It was a winter wonderland. It was really beautiful, elegant, you know, that's how I roll. 1995. Why don't you flash that one? We had this enormous great room. Oh my god, I hated leaving that house. But you know what? It's fine. God bless everybody who has a home. And God help us who don't. Okay. Slam, bang, screech. This is what my family and I heard on a daily basis living in our new apartment. Oh. There we are. Okay, I was like, wait, 1995. Oh. 10 years later. That's so funny. Okay. Very little sleep. Us. We'll explain later. Seldom was it more than a couple hours of consistent, quiet rest. Every night before we went to bed, I would lay on the mattress and stare up at the ceiling. I wondered what would drive me to frustration or scare me to death each night. You know, I use hyperbole. A lot of women use hyperbole more so than men. So I come by it honestly, right? So, yeah. Honey, what is that on the ceiling? Is that the upstairs plumbing leaking again or a bug? My husband had a bug towel and a water towel ready for action. Yeah. The place we live in, not so great. Yeah, no offense to anybody, but you know, I have a high standard for living environment, and it's very interesting, let's put it that way. It's gonna make another great book. It didn't take long for us to realize we were living in a wretched place. The neighbors upstairs constantly making noise. The other, want to flash that one up there?
Yep.
Thank you, love. So I'm going to read the next 2 pages so you don't have to keep showing every page every couple minutes.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So you'll show 2 at a time. Making noise. The other neighbors in the complex throwing rowdy parties. But what was worse were the robberies, the murders, drug dealings, creepers and peepers, the meth lab in the same apartment complex, rapes, and every crime imaginable occurring in the neighborhood and on the college campus across the street. Closing the book for a minute. So we were doing dance club and we were robbed. Right before everybody's eyes. I don't know how it happened. I was teaching, and then I was turning over my teaching part to some other person, you know, to share the workload because it gets daunting sometimes. And we didn't see anything, so I don't know. It was really weird. Anyway, you know, we're not blaming anybody, but it was not okay that that happened. And the school does not report all of the incidences because we had a couple that happened to us. And I'm like, where's this in the stats? When it shows a 0, and it's like, wait, that was the year that this happened to us. That was a crime, and it's not listed? Not good. Okay, where are we? Dear friends of ours, a sweet middle-aged couple visited our place the first few months we lived there. She was a retired counselor, and he was a retired parole and probation officer from Vegas. As I hope they're our friends. Anymore, we don't know. Okay. As they were leaving, they gazed at the artwork on the back of the wall. On the back wall of our complex where we parked our vehicle. He identified all the markings to be graffiti gang symbols. He knows them all by name, and it was not Picasso, Van Gogh, or Da Vinci. He warned us to get out of that place as soon as we possibly could. 15 years later. It was not a good neighborhood at all. I swear, it's like a surveillance ring, the whole place. It's creepy, like Stepford Wives creepy. I'm giving you my commentation, you know, commentary, sorry. Just like if you were to see a film, and you have the actors or director or producers say what they feel and think. So I'm doing that as I'm reading this book to you. Yes, I love to be obnoxious sometimes. It's all in love. And just. Okay, this was the last thing I needed to hear, you know, about the neighborhood being really bad. And he meant well. It got a little bit better because we made it that way, beloveds. He meant well, but I had already felt so much guilt for having to sell our beautiful 4-bedroom, 2-bath, this says 3-bathroom. That's a typo. Ranch-style home to pay for the cancer treatments. You know, I had cancer. I can't get breast cancer anymore, though. I got a little secret. 2 little secrets. Okay, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, you know? So I'm doing what I gotta do. Okay. Upon hearing his words of warning again, it made my heart crumble. What were we doing here? Was my life truly worth this much in loss? Why did my family have to suffer so much because of me? Not that I did anything wrong, but it's a normal thing to think about. It's like, I got sick and I feel bad because, well, I'm human and I have a heart and compassion. What were we doing here? Was my life truly worth this much in loss? Yes, and so is yours. Why did my family have to suffer so much because of me? Maybe I should have just let myself die so they wouldn't have this burden. No. They had to live in this horrid place because of me. That's just the process I went through, you know? I thought quietly. We were only meant to live in that place for a short time. It was a transition place, but truth be known, we would be in that place for 10 years. 15 years. Who is this goofball driving here?
Yeah, you just cut through like that right next to us.
They're poisoning people. Unbeknownst to everybody that knew me, the nights ushered in great tears of regret. It took me a while to get over that, but I got over it. I literally counted the nights we had to spend in this place. On night 109, the same thoughts stirred like a beast that couldn't be satiated or defeated. I was suffering from guilt. False guilt. False guilt. See, this is very important. I was like raking myself over guilt. And it was wrong, you know. I would, you know, if my son or husband were sick like I was, of course it would be hard to sell your home. But I wouldn't think twice. I'd be like, we're doing it. This will be good. You know what I'm saying? You have to fight for somebody's life because everybody's worth saving. Everybody. Even bad guys. That's what the Bible says, okay? That night I reflected back. Thoughts of how our home looked during the winter holidays flooded my heart. Visions of our beautiful home with all the dreamlike decorations, mistletoe, large, delicate snowflakes that hung from the cathedral ceiling in the great room, and stunning white columns that accented the overhangs. It was really something awesome. It was a gorgeous winter wonderland every year at that time. This was not only a home, it was a living, breathing, continuous work of art, an artistic expression that we lived in and created. The art of the home was the heart of the home. It too became the soul collaboration, S-O-U-L, soul collaboration, like most of our other work as husband and wife. The vast great room was a combination of my husband's and my love for European culture. I designed the intricate floor pattern that was an eclectic modern, Roman style with tumbled Italian marble tile in an earthy terracotta color with creamy white borders. He laid down the tile with his own hands. The grand archway from the great room into the dining room was my favorite. It had the Italian word for hope, quote unquote, esperanza. Esperanza. I love that. So beautiful. Carved out of maple wood hanging above it. It was literally our arch of hope. We decided as a family we would never lean on our own. I think the next word is understanding. Hold on for the next page. Understanding, yeah. So, beloved, can you flash that?
Yes.
Thank you, sweets. Both pages are done.
Both these pages on this.
Yes,
okay.
thank you.
I get it. Okay. Got it. Here you go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We decided as a family we would never lean on our own understanding, but rest upon the greater shoulders of hope. I said that funny, I don't know why. On my worst self days, this would prove to be a savior. Little s, baby s. This portico was very transporting and felt like the outdoors coming indoors. It was a merging of old world European with a dash of contemporary design. It was really kind of cool. The walls were textured plaster and painted with soft neutrals. The kitchen was where my husband's culinary craft kicked in, and many incredible meals were prepared. Oh, he can cook. He gets lost in his own little world. He's very focused, almost myopically so, you know? And he just comes up with some interesting things. Like, I didn't know if you grated carrots versus peeling them versus chopping them, you get a different flavor completely from the carrots. I'm like, who knew? So, kudos to him. Most of the rest of the home was like this, with secret nooks of memories artfully displayed. Our son had, at that time, spent all but 8 months of his little life in that home. It was filled with his first steps, words, songs, dances, major owies. All of it was in this home. The archway wall with pencil markings chronicled his growth, and the backyard had his treehouse like swing set that became the playing field of his imagination. When I was ill and couldn't go outside or play with him, I would sit on the chaise and watch him play out his stories. My little prince, oh my god, you know how real that might actually be? Who knew? My little prince would go on to become a strong, true life warrior in ways that only can be whispered in sleep, as dreams often do. So much delight. You know, this is so hint droppy, and I didn't even know I was dropping hints at the time. I just write what I know and what I think, you know. So much delight and joy was found in our backyard. A huge bay window extended from the dining room and overlooked the side yard. You could recline like a goddess on the cushions that I made and fall asleep basking in the sun. I did that a lot. A lot of momentous instances happened in that area of our home. Again, what's wrong with these people?
No idea.
They're not even parking. They're just like driving through.
I see that.
One was a romantic interlude with my husband, and the other one was a morose cry with my grandmother. Oh my gosh, and I don't mean to sound snarky when I say that, but it was very intense. My poor grandmother, she was so heartbroken. This was where Nana first wept in my arms and told me that she didn't feel well. She was sick. She had cancer. So, a more happier occasion occurred when I had planned a family encouragement party. The goal is to bring our fractured extended family into an alignment of love. My assignment for every family member: write down 3 positive things about each member in the family. Come to our home, read those things while looking into their eyes, and enjoy some amazing desserts that I made. Mwah! I can cook anything Italian. I can cook the hell out of anything Italian, and I can bake really well. Anything else, I'd either burn or destroy or just mess up and it tastes disgusting. I don't know what it is. So I let my husband do most of the cooking unless you want to have Italian food every night. So let's continue on, shall we? The party went well. Yes, it did. We all felt the love in the room, and for a time, my family of 10 was in perfect harmony. There were other warm memories with family and close friends, and also some intense moments and deep, quote-unquote, life scars that made and shaped the character of me. And them too, you know. We had to either give away or sell most of our belongings to pay for my treatment. My sorrow was on behalf of our son, who gave up and lost the most things, like his toys, but would later be replaced. You know what, and everything else that you really like and you don't have anymore, we have a lot of pictures. We can just replace that stuff.
Okay. Let's do that.
That'd be nice to make a little toy room for you, for little bambinos.
Yeah.
Or bambinas.
Maybe for my kids at some point.
That
There
would
you
be
go.
so cool. And, you know, you can use it like your own little museum type of thing. A lot of adults do that for their kids. It's really kind of fun. Okay, so my sorrow was on behalf of our son, who gave up and lost the most things, like his toys, but would later be replaced. For my husband, who lost his electronics and man cave devices, and for myself, who lost mostly clothes and sentimental items. Which, funny enough, and coolly enough, God, it sounds terrible. My family helped replace those sentimental things because they either had copies of them or somehow they had duplicates. Wait, copies of pictures or the same item that I had. I think that makes sense. I kind of said the same thing with different words. Okay, so we kept our musical instruments, one computer, one bed, you know, that kind of thing. This purging and casting away was difficult to do. It left gaping scars in me and I think my family in some ways. We got over it and we replaced most of it anyway. So that's the thing. Your scars can heal, guys. This is not in my book. I'm just talking to you like a person, right? Person to person. You can have your scars healed. We learned how to do this, like real scars. And they can disappear. But you know what? Scars are also there to remind you of either good or evil that has happened to you. So, yeah, there could be some good scars, actually. I've had a couple of those. Anyway, but guys, just know that I've come this far and you can go even further. And I'll go even further. That's how you lift one another up. I pull you up to my level and then you jump ahead a little bit and then you pull me up to your level. It's iron sharpening iron. So, with good people, you can't do that with evil people. It just doesn't work because they don't want you pulled up. They want to push you down and they want to lord and rule over you. So, you know, that doesn't work. Stay away from those people. Oh my God. Hold on. It was a traumatic experience that shaped all of us. For the most part, I chose and still choose to remember the positive and use the hardships and challenges as a means to encourage others and as a benchmark to see how far I've come in my journey. Much like extravagance to a blind man is foolishness, I often chastised myself as I felt I was being foolish, dwelling upon the materialistic things of the past because I had survived a life-threatening disease. Okay, beloved, you want to flash this one?
Yeah.
Both pages already.
Let's see. Done.
Okay. Did this person just pull up here?
That one? Yeah. It did.
They're gonna make themselves sick too. Okay, so I should be satisfied with surviving. You know, this is what I was telling myself to just kind of like, I don't know, pacify a wound. You want to close that, by the way?
This?
Yeah. I was not. This was a deep wounding. This was going to take a lot of soul work, S-O-U-L, to heal from. I had to heal from my past so I could have a future. And our past can be unnecessary anchors. We must heal that burden and travel lighter as we move forward. That doesn't mean get rid of all your stuff or let people take it or whatever. I mean, come on now. We all have our stuff and we all have it because we like it and we worked hard for it or we paid a lot of money or, you know, some people need to respect that. have a lot to say about this. There have been several occurrences in my life where this notion would be put to the test. And we're done testing it. Yeah. You know, there's been this little rumor going around that there's supposed to be a fire set to our apartment. And I'm like, no, we have security guards and we have security cameras and we're getting 2 or 3 dogs. We have to protect ourselves now. So, and other things. And that's just how it's going to be. But that's okay. I love dogs and we need some. We used to have a whole bunch of dogs. I love dogs. I love German Shepherds, Terriers. All Bedlington Terriers are beautiful. Alright, anyway. My grandmother's distant but soothing voice in my head would remind me, don't cry over anything or anyone, my addendum, that can't cry over you. She would also add, if the tears kept falling, tears aren't a sign of weakness. They're the soft revving of the heart gearing up in a mighty strength that's about to break forth. I would tell myself that it was just a house, but the oceans of my loss would fall down my cheek anyway. My mom had given us a down payment for our home. It was supposed to be our security. It would have been paid off at this current date. Oh well, it's okay. To say I suffered from extreme guilt would be a gross and ironic understatement. It was a pain that I hadn't experienced before, and one that would rival the anguish I felt when my mother and grandmother died from cancer. The anguish wasn't because I personally lost my home, although there was a bit of that as well. The anguish was mostly there because I felt I caused so much loss for my family, and dreams of our son growing up in a beautiful home near his friends and extended family in a lovely neighborhood were gone. It was all gone, and it was all my fault. Again, false guilt, and that neighborhood ain't so lovely anymore, so things have a way of just, I don't know, working out. So there I was, this one particular night, suffocating from regretful tears, when I got out of bed in our current apartment and went into the kitchen. It was extremely dinky, and it wouldn't take more than the moonlight peeking through a gap in the curtains to send the roaches scurrying. We put that to an end. Oh boy, did we figure that one out. Or in this case, my opening the refrigerator door that caused the light to come on. We had an unopened bottle of wine that looked tempting, very tempting. I decided against it this time and grabbed a glass of water instead and sat on the couch in the living room. So I've never had a drinking problem. I'm just clarifying that because evil people like to look at my Facebook pictures and they see me with a glass of wine in my hand drinking and they're like, oh. And I'm like, no, not even. And I haven't had anything alcoholic to drink in, oh my God, a long time, years and years. Yeah. It just doesn't taste good anymore. It tastes like somebody's putting some nasty, toxic something in a lot of it. You really have to pay a lot of money and shop around and know your wines to get something really good anymore. It's so sad. Anyway, let's just move on with that. Sleep escaped me, inner peace aloof, and the future a questionable entity that teased. Peace from guilt was what I wanted. Wholeness was what I begged for. Perspective was based on the truth of how I felt at that instant, instead of factual truth that could be proven. The truth is, I felt that I could never regain anything that was lost, but had a determination to try. I still don't know where this determination came from. It was most likely based on the deeply seated teachings of my Nana, who was a strong, God-fearing woman. God, like the real Jesus, not some bad, fake pastor, preacher, whatever, okay? I'm talking about Jesus. Resurrection, all that, okay? That was not flawless and embraced her frailties. She often reminded me, if those around you try to hide your light, they're only afraid of your brilliance reflecting on their mediocrity. She put it the way she saw it. And so do I. Maybe more so. Yeah. What's this? What's this little clown parade going on over here?
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, saddle that up. Okay. Through the kitchen window, I saw the sun coming up as it crested over the treetops. The dimly lit college campus could be seen through many of our front room windows. With a cup of tea in hand, I contemplated how I found myself on this new grand adventure back to dancing, with a beautiful stranger guiding me, the bee fly, that's my nickname. for her and other people too, not just her, but mostly. She was very accomplished, had impressive credits, and you want to look at this? Flash them.
Here we go. There.
Next page. I called her a beautiful stranger because she was a stranger and she was beautiful. I love that we have beautiful people in this world, and what makes me just really disgusted is that there are evil people out there that are purposely trying to age people. You know, this toxic crap and everything, and make women ugly. And there's a saying in the Bible about, you know, your personality is all you have left because your beauty is going to leave. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what about the men? They ain't looking so hot either. So, you know, I think that I believe that the Bible is the Word of God, and the original text, I believe, is the inerrant Word of God, but I think something weird has happened and got lost in translation over the centuries. Her dancing was inspiring, at least it was to me. She was very elegant, you know, and I don't know, I liked it. Her dancing was, okay. There was a maternal presence about her, but it wasn't only due to her age. There was a deep, compassionate heart that wanted to express and give so much. I doubt many, if any, ever knew or saw that in her. Maybe they did. I don't know. I never actually talked to anybody about it, so who knows. I saw it and wanted to learn more about her and offer whatever I had to help heal any brokenness. It's like I've got a brokenness alert. I used to minister to a lot of women, whatever, right? And they would come to me, and it would be like, not in private necessarily, but it would just be like after church, and they would want me to pray with them, and all the other ladies would be there, and I don't know, just something nice. And yeah, I offered whatever I could, whatever I had in my hands, like I gave. And sometimes all you have in your hands are prayers, and you clasp your hands in prayer, or you give them a hug, or you wipe their tears, you know. As the days and weeks under her tutelage passed, I could see a forced air of being put together and elegance portrayed by her. I don't mean this in a negative way at all. Please don't misunderstand that. I have that about me too. That's how I can see it in other people. You know, when the shit's hitting the fan and you're just like, how do I hold myself together? She did a good job, really. But I knew it was more than that. There was a human heart, a flesh inside of her that needed to be set free, a heart that could tell many stories of adversity, but maybe not triumph, not yet. That would still be forthcoming. Sometimes the heartstrings of humanity play songs that have discord, and sometimes of harmony. I felt myself caught in this chaotic melody that was intriguing and bewildering. Despite that, she inspired me to continue my dance pursuit, and I did. I worked very hard, got to class early, practiced all the time, asked questions, and tried to find the nuances in her detailed teachings and physical presentation. Some days I just couldn't handle the details. Ballet is so precise. And it is said that it was a court dance, and they used to have dances in court, not a court, royal court, right? And if you made a misstep, faux pas, there's what that term comes from. You could be very much humiliated socially, and they're like, bye-bye, you're gone. It's really, yeah. So, and you know, she had an older style teaching, which is not necessarily my style of teaching, and it is what it is, but it could be harsh. And now I appreciate something like that, but then I didn't, because it's like, oh my god, I'm going through so much, let's just chill a little bit here. I just need happy smiles, you know, and encouragement. But, you know, she could be intense, but, you know, that's just her teaching style. Hold on. Okay. One day for class, I took the time to put my hair up in a crown braid instead of a messy 1980s high ponytail. Often I felt that braids were one of the most feminine expressions for women's hair, a perfect match for ballet. The bee-fly would wear her long hair. It was really gorgeous and long at the time. Very much like Elsa. You know, Frozen, Anna and Elsa. Okay. Down her back, and it was exquisite. Without her saying so, I got the hint that she preferred hair worn in the way she did hers, French braid, bun, and a few other elegant styles. So I did this for her to show how thankful I was for her help. As she passed beside me at the bar, I saw a pleased smile across her face. I briefly smiled back. I deduced that she was sincerely glad to see me employ classical classroom ballet etiquette. And she didn't demand it. Not verbally, but maybe in her heart she really wanted it. I get it. I mean, I teach too. I mean, it's complicated, guys. She didn't require or ask for this adherence, but it did please her. The exchange was so delightful, but would be short-lived. I don't know what happened. I really don't. I don't. Since braiding was an ordeal for me because of the autoimmune-like symptoms in my hands, it was really weird. That apartment gave us some weird symptoms on occasion, and then it got worse and worse and worse. So now when we're away from it, it's better, as long as we're not around somebody doing some weird toxic dispensing around us. What's this? Gotta look at everything. Yeah, difficult. The braiding only happened this one time. Maybe a couple others. I used to wear braided to the side pigtails because it wasn't hard to do it on the side, but having my hands and arms up over my head, like how I have my bun right now, it was challenging then. It was difficult for me to maneuver my fingers to do this finite weaving. The next time we had class, I went back to my messy ponytail, and I could tell she was disappointed in me, for she didn't smile at me at all. In one sense, I couldn't blame her because she sincerely was pleased with my progressing in the finite details of the art of ballet. However, I could not physically do it continuously, much like my not being able to remember more than 2 counts of 8 of choreography. I disappointed her like an unruly child, and my false guilt about selling her home to save my life flooded in. This was a trigger for me that I had to be aware of and mend. A few times I can recall the bee-fly mentioning how she was seen as a mom, not a dance mom, but a mother figure to many of these younger adults and teens. Could she think I was that young? I wasn't. I also wasn't seeking a mother figure. I already had a real mother, and if you include my Nana, I had 2. I had already gone through the wounding in the church setting under the wings of a spiritual mother, and the last thing I wanted was another mother-daughter relationship to fail. Ouch, and yes. Was this to be just a friendship, maybe? I didn't believe I could currently offer that in my devastation, my heart's motto. No one else in, no one else out. That was my wall. It was my fortress to defend and keep strong. However, I would find myself doing otherwise, for I was compelled to not only allow this one in, but only this one and no more, I convinced myself. The word compelled had significant meaning to me. It had such strength and drive and action that paralleled with it. And so I let her in a little at a time. Oh, was that hard to take a leap of faith and trust? I didn't like doing it. Very uncomfortable. On good days, she was helpful and open to exchanges with me. On the not so good days, there was a wall, much like mine, that was a solid metal citadel. I recognized it as past wounds creating a safety around the flesh heart encased in stone. I knew this because I could recognize it in me. We tend to detect in others what is also in or was in ourselves, and interestingly, this caused an unexplainable connection between us, and a lot of headbutting. It was not perfect, that's for sure. But what is? I don't hold this against her. The school maybe, but not her. This was the most strangest oddity. I could always sense her presence before I saw her or knew that she was near me. I tended to think it was the same way for her, as there was that something that drove us together, and at times the same something pushed us apart. When 2 passionate hearts collide without intention, the very force that draws them together can also propel them apart. There can be great comfort in knowing that at least it was the case for me. you know, not that misery loves company, but the understanding, the unspoken understanding, you know. Hey, yeah, I've been there too, type of thing. Me too. Just wait. It was time to work on the combination center 4. I dreaded this part because of my memory issues. Oh, I think you gotta do 4 pages, sorry.
You missed the last one? Okay.
I'm just tearing through this.
That's a good one.
I dreaded this part because of my memory issues and it triggered frustration. Memory issues are gone now because I just retrained myself and I got all that toxic garbage out of me. Knowing the step, but we still have bad days. It's like, wait, what did we just do 10 minutes ago? It's weird. It depends what we're around right now. Knowing the steps in your heart reveals the passion. Knowing the steps in your head reveals the technique. I was very much the passionate dancer. And then I started getting it more into my head and not just my heart. So I was participating in both. So I became a better technician too. My memory was a battle I'd rather not have had to fight. This one particular day, I just couldn't get the steps right. Correct, sorry. I could tell the bee fly was losing patience with me, but I couldn't force my body to do what I wanted it to do. I attempted the combination again, and my legs were trembling slightly. We were doing a very simple pas de bourrée, and during the plie with the coupe, I lost my balance and stumbled. She saw me stumble. Never having been known for poor balance or 2 left feet in my entire life after cancer, I had more left feet than a millipede. Letting the bee fly down. There's a typo. It says letting the bee fly down. Should be letting the bee fly down was embarrassing, and that day I convinced myself that I had been a great disappointment. A subtle look of disdain from her, and then ignoring me the rest of the class reinforced my feelings. I quietly left class and walked home. I couldn't help but think she hated me. It's hard when you have a teacher and you're working your butt off and you know that your body can do it but it won't do it because cancer. It's frustrating because you want to have the approval of your teacher, your boss, your parents. That's normal. So, that's where I was too. I laid on the wooden floor in the living room and stared up at the water-stained ceiling. I wanted to give up, I wanted to stop and run away. It was too hard. What was once easy was extremely hard. And at that point, who's this? Okay. At that point, I was about to quit. Excuse me. But then dancing lights sparkled and moved on the ceiling. Car headlights passed our windows and shone brightly on the white plaster canvas over me. It reminded me of a segment in the Disney film Fantasia. Dance beckoned me at that instant. I stood on my feet and began to recall the movements from earlier that... Here you go. Why don't you flash those 4 pages? Sorry. Just reading.
These 2 and then the next 2?
The ones before it. So do the 2 before it.
So these 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, and this one.
Ooh la la.
Okay, next. Okay, this one. Here.
You good?
Yeah.
From earlier that... How long is this chapter? Oh, it's almost over. Earlier that week in class, my feet seemed to remember the way more than my heart or my head, but they all conflicted constantly and took turns at creating a hindrance. This garment was still frustratingly too large for me to adorn with style and emotion. Had I truly lost it all? Sorrow set in quickly. After falling asleep in the living room, I woke up on the couch, and it had all seemed like a dream. Upon looking out the window, the school reminded me that it was far from a dream and was my reality. Determined, I got up again and began working on the combination. I just couldn't make it happen. Left was right and right was left. My body ached, my heart sank, and my tears flowed. My husband came into the room. jumped in and I said, I need your help. I said pitifully, I don't know anything about dancing. He left the room. This wasn't the truth. He did know about dancing. We met dancing on stage at Bob Hope McCowan Theater. We both danced a lot together while we were dating. Really? I need your help. I called down the hall to him. You just don't want to. You'll figure it out yourself. It'll pass. That makes me mad, you know, because, hey, I'm like, can you help me? Can you help me? Please, I need your help, encouragement, something. You have no idea what I'm going through. Anytime I have to fight, you run away, just like you did at the clinic. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not rubbing this in, baby. I'm reading my book to preserve copyright. All my resentment poured out, and as soon as I heard my own outspoken voice, I cringed, knowing that I had said something regrettable. Many harsh words were spoken between us, and I was broken even more. While I may have been right, my timing was off. This would be a lesson that I would learn later on in a more severe way. My passion, honesty, truthfulness, and my mouth got the best of me, as it usually did then. 10 rounds of the blame game lasted for about an hour. Yeah, that's just how it goes here. After my pleading tears, my husband finally said to me, dance from your heart, not from your head. I understood these words. These were the words of the man I fell in love with. Oh, isn't that sweet, baby?
Oh, yeah.
What?
I said, oh, yeah.
They are. I'm sorry, cover your ears. He only made occasional appearances lately. I'm sorry. You read this, right?
I skimmed it.
I'm sorry. This is the part. It was just coincidentally happened to come back. When moments like this would happen over the many years of our marriage, I would savor them like sweet morsels, and also felt like I was hit by a bitter dart. The duality was difficult to abide in until eventually I gave up on the man that I emotionally lost and accepted it. That's so sad. The depths of this will be saved for another book. Oh boy. I'm sorry, honey. Even still, he had wisdom. Once I yielded to what he said, I was able to succeed. I was so thrilled. I had to share this with another. An email exchange between the beef fly and I ensued. So I did not print any of her words because they're her own words. And so I just summarized them. In my first draft, they were included. You include everything in your first draft because you just get it out on the computer screen. Years ago, it used to be the typewritten page, right? So, but I do know that this is the version that's published. Saturday, 10/13/2007, 12:15 p.m. I finally got it. Sorry I messed up that last dance combination. Another student stayed with me after class a few minutes to help me with the arms, but the feet were still a problem. I practiced for 5 hours when I got home and still couldn't do it. My husband watched and he said, dance from your heart, not your head. I cried it out for a few minutes and then I did the steps just fine. I felt really stupid, but what he said just clicked. Now I just gotta put feet and arms together. Thanks for pushing me. You have cared enough to do so. And I signed it with my name. She thanked me, so I'm just summarizing in the book what she said back, because I didn't want to print her words, publish her words. She thanked me for sharing and encouraged me to keep the joy. It was written so beautifully. I had a difficult time understanding how she seemed to be very upset with my failure. And here, you want to show these pages? Share the love.
There you go.
Okay, thank you, baby. Very upset with my failure in class, but then write something this beautiful to me. Yeah, everyone's going through something, so, you know, I try to be as understanding as possible. But, you know, sometimes you gotta say something if it gets really bad with the person. The apparent contradiction told me that there was something underlying there, but at that time I chose not to inquire. While I worked on this book, I reread her email words several times, and to this day, they bring great comfort. Her words then inspired me to visit an old friend called choreography. I kept this in the back of my mind. The brush fires in the autumn of 2007 were fierce and marred the Los Angeles skies with charred clouds. The air quality was greatly affected, and I never fared well under conditions like this. Oh, since then I got better, though, because I learned a few tricks, but I had suffered with mitral valve prolapse for a few years prior to the cancer. It caused many additional symptoms like fatigue, heart palpitations, migraine, lightheadedness, etc. I had some problems and symptoms that exacerbated when I started dancing again, especially in the smoggy Los Angeles air, when the condition was less than perfect. During this fall season, the brush fires caused my heart valve condition to worsen under it. It caused a heaviness on my chest and sometimes shortness of breath. Class was still in session during Southern California's urgent situation. I struggled breathing from the fires. I didn't want the B-fly to see this, and I thought I hid it well until after class. I sat down and rubbed my chest. It was odd, though, because the pressure was in a different location. Typo. Not too many, though. Than it usually was when I had MVP symptoms. The compression was felt where the thorn had slipped in. You know, I use the thorn as a symbol, as a symbolic thing. You know, a spiritual thing. I don't know. We're people. Go and figure that out. Of course, this was a figurative event, but at that time, I began to wonder if there was more to it than just an expression of speech. Who knows? I stood up and hid behind one of the other students, hoping to slip out of the classroom unnoticed. It was a trifle incident, and I knew exactly what to do. Get into a warm shower and stay in the bathroom for a while until the smoking air cleared some. If it got too bad, we would have to leave the city for a time. I sighed relieved that I had escaped the dance studio without event until I heard my name called. It was the bee-fly, and she noticed. I didn't want to involve her at all, so I told her it was nothing, but as events developed and she learned more, she asked that I get a doctor note to clear my medical condition. She seemed earnestly concerned about me, and that touched my heart. At least this is what I told myself. However, there are some things that occurred later in the future that made me question this. And in italics, this is just a little side note. I won't go into too much into this except to say that it played an incredible role in fate and was a piece to a miracle. I chose not to delve into this at this time because it is a sensitive subject for both of us. And out of love and respect, I won't attempt to go into the details about it in this book. Perhaps this is something that she and I will write together one day, or maybe it will be left unsaid. As for now, I find it appropriate just to briefly mention it, as it is integral to the miraculous element of my story. So, we're suspecting that, we hope not, that someone may have uploaded an additional rendition of my book that may not even contain even my thoughts or words in private or anything at all. And so, in other words, we hope not, but it could be that anytime we purchase these books and then sell them to the public, we get one version. Now, if somebody else purchases these books online, they may get, well, I don't know what they get. It could be something completely different. And that is what I'm very concerned about. So that's why I'm reading this. And I'm showing you, here's the book. This is the printed copy. And I don't know. I really don't know. We have a lot of versions of these too. Because, you do the proof and then you just find the typos and you fix things. But it's very concerning. Let's just put it that way. So hopefully I'm wrong. Wait, Chris. Jesus. Why did you go forward?
Well, because I went forward first and then he went.
Yeah,
so
but he went in front of us. You almost ran into him.
Well, I know. That's why I slowed down.
Yeah. That was his fault. He's not supposed to cut us off like that. Yeah. Chris, they're trying to do a T-bone. Be careful. Wait, okay. We didn't have hot water at our apartment. Fact. we couldn't afford it, so I had to settle for a cold shower to help soothe my symptoms. Something about the cold that makes things hard and almost impenetrable. Gotta love it. Okay, you wanna do that? Thank you.
Yeah. There you go.
How are we doing?
Good.
Awesome. Thank you. Cold made things hard and almost impenetrable. The past at our former church, pastor, it's probably pastor. How's that going? No, the past. It is the past. Okay. How are we doing?
Good. Just
Okay.
fixing
The
this.
past at our former church rushed forward and overwhelmed me with thoughts I hadn't dealt with in a long time. When healing from cancer, the worst thing to do is get upset as it lowers your immune system. I took in deep breaths and let the droplets soothe me. While there was a past friction with my former pastor's wife, and where I placed responsibility for the spiritual damage I received while in the church, we often had wise words to say. There's a let me just kind of talk here. There's a strange pattern in my life. Every place I go, there's always this weird thing with mentors. So I don't do that anymore. I stay away. I just don't want to do this anymore because they get weird. Not all of them. Some of them. I'm like, all right now. So yeah, the church, that was another thing. And we didn't seek these people out. They came to us. Craziness. Okay. Not always tarnished and not always lost. She told me that when I felt so beaten down, not sure what to do, that is the time I should give, even if I give out of my need. I do that a lot. Not as much anymore because it's like, you know what, it's our turn to receive really good things because this is something else. Yes, of course, I should give something to someone. Giving a gift would be my next step in my journey. I would create a dance for my husband as a way to say thank you for standing by my side during my cancer trial and a desperate attempt at repairing a damaged relationship. A myriad of wonderful dance moves and ideas flooded in my head, and my own smile penetrated and enlightened my soul. Nervous as I was to inquire about my idea, especially after the exchange in the hallway, I took a deep breath and followed through by contacting the beefly. Dum dum dum. No, it wasn't like that. Actually, it was really nice. Thursday, 11/1/2007, 10:48 p.m., dance room. I'm not kidding. I document and record pretty much everything, so thank God I did, because I did, I was able to catch a lot of bad people doing a lot of bad things to me and my family. Couple of questions. This is the email now. Can I use the dance room before class? If yes, what is an okay time? And can I bring a CD player? Remember back in the day, CD players. I won't put it too loud. I'd like to choreograph something for my husband. I'm not good at this. I got really good at it. It'll be a challenge, but I want to give him a special gift for sticking with me through the hardships. He was the only one that believed I'd be dancing again. My son too. Even I didn't believe it. I hope I did it all right today. I tried to be myself and let my personality come out a bit. I'm not comfortable doing that. Not yet. I don't know if you can understand, but cancer took more away from me than I'd like to admit. On the other side of my success, I feel as if I live with the silent disease inside of me, waiting to appear again and rip the things that I love away. It makes me hesitant in all that I do. I have a hard time connecting with people, being myself. Sorry. Thanks for listening. I'll see you soon, and thank you for all that you do aside from me. So at that point, we had already started a relationship. We were talking, not a lot, in passing. Hi, how are you? A couple corrections here and there. It was minor, but again, it was a nice, I thought it was anyway, a nice relationship. My words were very sobering to me as I reread them before sending it out. Cancer was a silent disease inside of me, possibly waiting to explode again. It was something I tried not to think about. It was something that, although my family knew was a strong probability, I didn't want them to dwell upon it. If it would try to attack me again, I was prepared with more knowledge for the next time. I would not allow myself to end up in bed. My doctor in Vegas advised me about that. He told me it's good to rest when needed, care for yourself, but don't stay in bed unless absolutely necessary. Even in hospitals, they got patients up on their feet as soon as possible. If I met this internal enemy within again on my battlefield, I would remember this as well. With that thought, I hit the send and waited. She was prompt with her reply. She gave me permission to use the studio before class to create a dance for my husband. She added that choreographing for someone I loved sounded like a positive step and hoped that I would find peace in this. Yeah, it kind of worked. Here you go. Beloved, flash them.
Good. All done.
Thank you. Oops. At that moment, after reading her words, my heartstrings were touched deeply. I had thought she hated me for letting her down so much. I was wrong. With such beautiful words, I wondered if she too enjoyed writing and communicating the way I did. Her words hinted at a deep understanding soul. For who could truly say these things without something substantive behind them? They would have collapsed under the weight of falsehood. Based on our interaction in class and our exchanges, I believe something special was developing. I had a strong respect and admiration for this woman and was grateful for her in my life. With her words, I was energized to do anything, and I knew that I could. At that time, my knowing that someone believed in me, or at least wanted to help me, was a very powerful thing. She wanted to help me, at least it came across to me that way. Otherwise, why facilitate my request? It was official. This would be my next step into the world of dance. I kept creeping forward at a fast pace. How do you creep forward at a fast pace? But I did it. Unbeknownst to me at the time, that these were the steps back into performing, and then performing professionally. Thump, 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 which I didn't do a lot. The computer screen started to blur, my vision was dimming, and a rainbow-like arc crested over my right eye. A blind spot covered more than half my field of vision. I could no longer read the Beefly's email. I put my hands to my head and covered my eyes. As my head started to throb, I felt lightheaded and thought I'd pass out. I didn't, and my vision slowly returned. I laid down in bed and massaged my temple. My doctors warned me that I could experience post-cancer treatment symptoms. I shrugged it off and categorized it as such. Now I don't think that's what it was. I think we've been poisoned. My eyes closed, and I thought the beeflies were something. Look what I did. Put it on my bun. I don't have a bun cover, so I'm gonna use one of my gloves. A little rooster. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Okay. For someone special, someone I loved, little did she know that my love for my husband was tattered, barely functioning, barely breathing. My husband and I both knew the courageous and noble thing was to fight for our marriage and stand true to our vows that we pledged. The cancer fight wasn't only for my life, but also a fight for our relationship. My husband and I, right? My more guilt compiled, and it wasn't my dance or the Beefly's fault. She had no idea what irony she had tread upon, or did she? Strong ties between the two of us were already beginning to form back then. Could she read my pain as much as I could read hers? See, I was very respectful. Rumors of my anything is greatly exaggerated or a blatant lie. This will probably make her feel better too, you know that?
Could be right.
Huh?
Could be right.
God only knows what these people are doing. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 2, and I'm going to go on and read chapter 3, because instead of taking 14 days to go through this, I want to get it done in a couple.
Okay, So I'll stop this and start it
Okay,
again.
hold on, let me sign out. So, Noelle Rose Andressen-Kale, sending you love, mwah, mwah. And this, you know why I do this? I make fun of Facebook with little hearts. It's all in good fun and jest. Come on, people. Yeah. So, signing out, and I'm gonna read the next chapter. Bye.